Toxic people don't show up in your life by accident. They scan, they observe, and when they find someone who craves attention more than boundaries, that's who they move toward. You think it's chemistry. They see an opportunity. They don't approach you because you're special. They approach you because you're available in a way most people aren't. You're open, responsive, emotionally curious, and to someone who thrives on control, that's the perfect doorway. Think about how it starts. They give you attention fast. They text first. They respond instantly. They say things like, "I've never connected with someone this quickly," or "You're different from anyone I've ever met." They don't take time to know you. Instead, they claim you. And you fall for it because you mistake intensity for intimacy. You're not falling for a person. You're falling for a performance. Toxic people don't try to earn trust. They bypass it. They overwhelm your emotional defenses before you even notice what's happening. By the time you start questioning the relationship, you're already attached. You don't get trapped when they show their worst behavior. You get trapped when they show their best. They love bomb you with consistency, attention, and validation. Then you build your self-worth around their approval. Once that happens, they can switch behaviors without losing control over you. Because now, you're not chasing love. You're chasing the version of them that never existed. They move fast because time gives you clarity. If they slowed down, you'd notice the red flags. They overload you with emotional intensity before logic has time to catch up. You think, why would someone treat me this well if they didn't mean it? Because the goal isn't to love you. The goal is to secure you. They don't choose strong partners. They choose hungry ones. People starving for validation, attention, connection, or escape. They sense emotional deprivation the way predators smell blood. That's why you feel seen so quickly. They're not seeing you, they're scanning you. The reason toxic people feel irresistible at the beginning is simple. They don't build connection, they manufacture intensity. They make you feel chosen, prioritized, and validated. Not gradually, instantly. Normal relationships grow through curiosity. Toxic ones start with certainty. They don't say, "Let's get to know each other." They say, "I've never felt this way about anyone." That isn't vulnerability, it's strategy. They give you a rush that feels romantic, but it's actually a neurological trick. When someone floods you with affection, praise, and constant attention, your brain releases dopamine in huge spikes. Dopamine forms emotional bonds before trust forms. It's the same mechanism that creates addiction. That's why you can't stop thinking about them. It's not love, it's withdrawal. Healthy people pace connection. Toxic people go heavy fast and then demand emotional access. Slow-building relationships feel boring to you because you're addicted to intensity. But love doesn't need urgency. The love bombing phase is not who they are. It's who they pretend to be to get access to you. Once they secure your attachment, they don't have to maintain the performance. You think they changed. No, they just stopped acting. The version you fell for was constructed from your insecurities and desires. You weren't loved, you were targeted. Toxic people don't make you feel connected because they're similar to you. They make you feel connected because they mirror you. They study your personality, triggers, values, and then reflect them back like a disguise. They don't show who they are, they show who you want. If you crave being understood, they over-listen. If you crave affection, they overwhelm you with it. If you crave deep conversation, they trauma dump early. None of this is natural. It's accelerated intimacy. You think you met a soulmate. They just gathered data faster than a therapist. You overshare too soon. You reveal your insecurities, your relationship history, your abandonment wounds. You hand them the blueprint to control you, and they follow it. Because you're not falling for them, you're falling for a reflection of yourself. When the relationship turns toxic, you don't leave. You wait for the first version of them to return. But that version was bait. They're not losing interest. They're revealing themselves. The part that felt perfect was the costume. The addiction starts when they switch between extreme affection and emotional withdrawal. One day, they love you like a movie. The next day, they act distant. They ignore your messages, get cold, pull back, or start fights. Then right when you're about to leave, they show affection again, just enough to keep you hooked, not enough to make you secure. It's not inconsistency, it's conditioning. This is intermittent reinforcement, the same psychological schedule that keeps people gambling. When rewards are unpredictable, the brain works harder to earn them. And the harder you work, the more attached you feel. You're not staying because of love. You're staying because you're chemically hooked. You justify their behavior, defend them to friends, and blame yourself for their emotional instability. You think you need to change to earn consistent love. You think if you behave differently, they'll go back to who they were in the beginning. But that version never existed. You're not fighting for the relationship, you're fighting for the emotional high. If someone treated you like this from the start, you'd never stay. You stay because the contrast makes crumbs feel like a feast. You don't miss them. You miss the dopamine. It's easy to blame toxic people for manipulating you, but you fall for them because something in you responds to fast affection. You crave intensity because calmness feels empty. You mistake chaos for passion because peace feels unfamiliar. You don't want love. You want emotional fireworks. You ignore red flags not because you don't see them, but because you don't want to lose the feeling of being wanted. You don't get manipulated because you're stupid. You get manipulated because you're starving. If you built self-worth, manipulation wouldn't work. If you paced relationships, their mask would fall before you got attached. If you healed your past, chaos wouldn't feel like home. You don't fall for toxic people because they hide who they are. You fall because you hide who you are. You want someone to fill the gaps instead of facing them. If you had self-respect, you wouldn't chase someone who pulls away. If you had boundaries, you wouldn't collapse when someone validates you. If you had emotional stability, love bombing would feel suspicious, not romantic. You're not trapped by their manipulation, you're trapped by your hunger. If someone makes you feel anxious more than they make you feel safe, it doesn't matter how intense the connection feels, it's toxic for you. Real connection doesn't require you to abandon yourself. Real love doesn't feel like survival mode. If walking away leaves you feeling empty, that emptiness is where you rebuild. Here's how to break the cycle. Stop justifying them. Stop trying to fix them. Stop making their validation your dopamine source. Build stability outside of them. Block access. Do not stay friends. Stop romanticizing the beginning. The beginning was scripted. Healing doesn't start when you leave. It starts when you become someone who won't fall for that again. You don't need someone who feels perfect. You need someone who feels safe. If someone can destroy your self-worth by disappearing, you never were in love. You were dependent. You don't stay because you care about them. You stay because you don't want to face who you are without them. You didn't lose a soulmate. You lost a fantasy. They didn't change. They revealed themselves. If you want to understand how manipulators pull you back after you leave, watch my next video. It exposes the psychological tactics people use to regain control once you begin to detach. Breakups don't end the manipulation. Access does.